When I was a kid, I was a huge Spider-Man fan. That was the days of the old Ralph Bakshi cartoons, and I liked Batman, the Adam West series, but Superman. Even though I liked the movies I saw in the theater when I was a very small kid, I always thought it was for kids. It seemed childish even for me. But as I grew older, especially in the last maybe 20 years, I've really grown fonder and fonder of Superman to a point where it's really the only superhero I really relate with now. He's the one I truly love, and the today's movie is the one I think that captures the most perfectly why I love Superman so much. And of all the Superman movies, I think it's the one that truly captures the real essence of the character. So that movie is 1951's Superman and the Mole Man. It's ridiculous. The visuals are super cheap. The special effects are even worse. I'll talk about all that a bit later on. But still, when I watched it, I just loved it so much. It was so heartwarming and so again true to what I really look for in a Superman story. This one was directed by Lee Sholem. His Wikipedia page, which I just saw, states that his achievements in filmmaking have never been surpassed. Citation needed, someone has added. Well, he did direct Catalina Caper for all you Misty 3K fans like Mystery Science Theater. Also, a couple of Tarzan movies. It does star the magnificent George Reeves and the fantastic Phyllis Coates. She plays Lois. She's right on the button. She's exactly what Lois should be. So what's the story? Lois and Clark are sent by the Daily Planet to report on the world's largest, deepest oil well. But it's in a very, very, very small town. 1,430 people, less than 1,500 people live there. And so they go there. But something strange happens in the form of the Mole Man. So a bunch of very small, suspiciously munchkin-like looking creatures with bald caps emerge from the ground and start terrorizing the villagers, who don't take it too well, and there might be some strange goings on with the sheriff as well. There's a deeper mystery going on here. So Clark, aka Superman, and Lois will try to figure out just what's going on really with that strange oil well, that mysterious sheriff, and will try to prevent a massacre really, and possibly even a war between the surface dwellers, the terrorized villagers, and the Mole Man. So will Superman succeed? Well, you'll just have to watch it to find out. It's fantastic. I love this movie so much. I mean, I usually pick movies I like for this channel. But this one really, I watched it at Christmas time a year or two ago, and there was really it almost had that Christmas magic in it. So why am I going on about that? Okay, so I'll start with what's cool about the movie, like the story. I will go on in some detail about the cheapo aspect of the movie, because it needs to be mentioned like this. I have rarely seen a movie with such poor budget. I mean, it really shows. This is where the poor production value is on the screen, is on full display. But I will conclude with still why it's the best Superman movie, in as much as it it most perfectly captures the essence of Superman. I might mention some trivia if we have time. It depends. Okay, we'll see. So what's cool about the story? Well, as I mentioned, okay, so I will start with this. What's cool about it is, even though there is a mystery and it's fun and it's intriguing and it feels like a comic book, and it's mainly a story about how Lois and Clark are investigating. So it's more like that, certainly for the first half hour of the movie. But the real quality of it is that you probably surmised from the recap I did of the story that there is a moral conundrum at the heart of the story. It is based on a sort of moral dilemma, and in these days, there's okay, if we hear a story about villagers panicking about strangers who look different than them and they want to destroy them, but the villagers are in the wrong, essentially, something like that. I mean, we sometimes our alarm bells start ringing because we've seen so many of these stories, and they can be, in recent years, extremely heavy-handed. Like even like the last year's Superman, the 2025 version, I actually thought it was wonderful, but it was 80% a fantastic Superman movie, and 20% hitting you on the head with the message and stuff that didn't make sense, actually. So here, the point is that it's not preachy, which is impressive. The villagers are panicking. They are, they do shoot shotguns a lot at the mole man. It kind of reminds you a little bit of how the army reacts in the Earth Stood Still, when they shoot at Klaatu. But still, even though you can kind of tell that, there is a message, it's not as heavy-handed as the types of comparable messages we've had in recent years. And it just goes to show you can tell that type of story and still be, it's not even nuanced, though it kind of is, but you don't have to beat people on the head with whatever message you're trying to put forth, right? Just tell a good story, okay, and we'll figure it out, right? So it's actually a pretty refreshing quality. The mole men are really, I want to say pathetic, but in the etymological sense, like they evoke pathos, okay? They are sad, but not pitiful. I mean, they have a surprising level of depth for them, considering how ridiculous they look. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, we get echoes of deeper political, social concerns even within the mole man society. I mean, just generally speaking, it's a smart, nuanced discussion about the sort of conflict that you get when two cultures meet, at least as smart and nuanced as you can get in a 1951 superhero movie. But it's a lot more nuanced than what we've had in recent years, as I mentioned. It's a smart, non-preachy story, a story with a cool intrigue, that the mystery works well, and the investigating by Lois and Clark is super fun. Clark really is the main character of the story. Superman only appears at minute 24 and 30 seconds. He starts flying for the first time at minute 28. I noted it. So it's mostly a Clark story, and it's a very good story. So that part is cool. Okay, it's like reading a good comic book story of Superman in the 40s and 50s. So about the cheap thing now. Okay, here are some hints that the movie did not have a big budget. Yeah, as mole men go, these aren't the most impressive. They're essentially munchkins in bald caps. Ill-fitting bald caps at that, very ill-fitting. So I actually wrote that down before recording this, those 2-3 sentences, and I checked on Wikipedia, and 3 of the 4 mole men we see in the movie, not only do they look like munchkins, they are played by actual munchkins, like they were in The Wizard of Oz. One of them is the 3 kids in the Lollipop Guild. Okay, so Lollipop Guild, Munchkin in this movie. Yeah, the bald caps look terrible. You can basically see the hair underneath. The entire production has really a shoestring budget. One shoestring, not for 2 shoes, just one shoestring. Superman, I checked again, I double checked, and you do see him flying, but in this one you don't believe a man can fly. Okay, so here's how they achieved the special effects of Superman flying. They attached a wire to his belt, so George Reeves jumps, and the piano wire lifts him up. So they cut, and then they cut to 3 seconds of hand-drawn animation. But it's basically like what Matchstick's character. I mean, it's just a pale blob, a super blob, but it doesn't look like Superman at all, what they drew. One of the worst, possibly the worst hand-drawn animation I've ever seen in a feature movie. It's very short, and then they cut to another scene of George Reeves suspended on his piano wire, and he catches the falling mole man or something like that. Anyway, so it's that sort of thing. So very cheap animation and piano wire on the belt, and Superman has false muscles in his costume, like styrofoam muscles, and you can see the zipper in the suit on his back. So yeah, it's cheap, but it's so full of heart. Okay? And that's the thing. First of all, the essence of Superman. What does this movie show us about the true essence of Superman? Well, there's an important detail in the title, which is it's not called Superman versus the Mole Man, or meets the Mole Man, or fight or against the Mole Man. Yeah, it's nothing like that. It's Superman and the Mole Man, okay? And he's not in conflict with them. There is a conflict in the city, in the town, the small village. But he's trying to resolve the conflict. And yeah, sometimes the villagers get mad and they start shooting at him, and he does punch a few, and he does have the whole, your bullets can't do anything against me scene. You have to. It's a Superman movie from the 50s. You gotta have it. But yeah, he's mostly there to be the voice of reason and of mutual aid. And he's extremely, he's very butch. I mean, he's George Reeves, his character is, even as Clark Kent, he's very masculine, okay? This is the period of Superman when Superman looked like a cross between a car mechanic and Stan Hansen, like a guy who would fight Abdullah the Butcher in a dog collar match. Okay, that period of what Superman looks like. And, you know, George Reeves, even as Clark Kent, he kind of looks like that. He's built like a very wide brick wall, but he's not at all about the violence, and he's quite sensitive not only to the plight of the Mole Man, but of the villagers too, like everybody. Like, he doesn't like aggression and stuff like that, but he's not judgmental. And I think that's really a big difference with those more recent movies we get, where there's a lot of hand-wringing and stuff like that, and I mean, at the end of the day, no one likes to be preached to, even if it's by Superman. And he does none of that. I mean, he just truly wants to help, and he doesn't make moral compromises. He doesn't accept injustice, but he's true to himself, and he lets other people or mold people be true to themselves too, right? So it's that whole shtick, right? So Grant Morrison, who I like a lot, he said in an interview, the real superpower, the strongest superpower that Superman has is his super heart, which is that quality I was mentioning. And he says, Grant Morrison, I've seen in an interview say this, that when he's in difficult situations, he actually tells himself, like some people say, what would Jesus do? But he actually asks himself, what would Superman do? And he actually does it in real life. And I will confess this to you. I have also done this, and it always works. I mean, if you ask yourself, what would Superman do? You'll always make the correct decision. Which brings me to the whole very quickly fact that some of the more recent movies, especially the one with Brandon Routh, I think his name was, the Bryan Singer one, they really played a lot on the Christ figure aspect of Superman. And Brandon Routh was a superlative Superman. He really, really, really nailed it. He was really good in the part. But the movies themselves were so, and the Christ aspect was very, it was too on the nose, right? But what makes people say that Superman is a Christ figure? Well, he comes from this other world. Some people say he comes from the sky, and so he has superpowers and all these stuff. But no. What makes Superman the Christ figure is his super heart. He's full of love. For real, for humanity. That's why he does all that. That's what you have in the movie. But he's the Smallville guy. He's just a grounded guy. Okay? He's not playing the saintly figure at all. He's just a guy with a super heart who we can all aspire to be. And I've often thought as well that he was just as much a Buddha figure as a Christ figure, Superman, because he can destroy the world 1,000,000 times over. I mean, he can crush Lois Lane just by hugging her. I mean, he's Superman. He's all powerful, right? And he does get angry from time to time, but it's pretty rare. And he has this very, it seems to me, when do you see him be mean-spirited? When do you see him falling into the lowest aspects of his ego, if you like? Well, maybe in Superman 3, but that was because of the red kryptonite. So the whole idea is he's a Buddha figure because it seems to me he must have this immense wisdom just to not behave like we all tend to do sometimes, which is, blow a gasket and start breaking things or whatever. Just he's just wise and grounded and loving. And I'll conclude on this. I mean, it might seem kind of ridiculous for a grown man to expound so much on my geeky love of the super heart of Superman, especially because in the last few years, I mean, when Zack Snyder did his version, it was all about it's always raining and it's always dark and the camera is always shaking and he kills people, and the movie lasts 3 hours because that makes it more serious, and the last hour is just this big battle, and he must have killed like 50,000 people in that battle, right? And at the end, he snaps the neck of of General Zod. No spoilers. Well, in the comic book, they did do that. Superman did kill General Zod in the 1980s, and was the best Superman story I possibly ever read, because he can't handle it. You know, they did a whole thing about that, because he's not a killer. You know, he exiles himself to space, and there was the whole, I think it's called Exiles, that run by Jerry Ordway. It's a fantastic story. But yeah, the point here is that Zack Snyder did that because for 20, 30 years, much of the Western world, certainly the stuff we've been getting from the United States of America, it was all, I mean, how many dark and gritty stories about, you know, vigilantes. I mean, everything needed to be dark and violent, and being loving was naive and stupid, and it was all shades of gray. And you know, vigilantes like, you know, Punisher, and he's a cool character. I like Punisher, but he's a guy who walks in a town and kills 500 people. I mean, and there are tons of copies of that character. I like Spawn a lot. The cartoon was fantastic. It was a very good character, but he's also a hyper-violent character. So we've had, you know, 30 years of hyper-violent main heroes, and you know, gritty and cynical and dark have taken the place of what passes for like adult mature entertainment. Whatever. I mean, is it because we wanted our heroes to be mean and violent and brutal? I mean, what does that say about Western civilization? I mean, my main point here is that I like the pure of heart aspect of Superman very, very much, and I truly believe it's something we can all aspire to. And it's a goofy comic book movie, and the comics as well. They're not exactly goofy, but they're comic books, right? But they have a sense of wonder about them, and there's a little bit of that in here as well. Certainly had that in the good parts of the 2025 version. So yeah, that's why this is the best version of Superman, because first of all, it really feels like the 50s comic. It looks like the 50s comic. It's the type of story you have in the 50s comic, and the whole attitude of Superman, like his dynamic with Lois is spot on. It's exactly that. She's fantastic, the Lois in this movie. But yeah, the true essence of the character, that loving, wise, but at the same time, I won't stand for injustice. Okay, but I'm still trying to have everybody be the best versions of themselves, you know. And he's not a dictator. He lets you be the best version of you, right? From a strong stance, but a loving stance. Yeah, so that's why Superman is super. That's why he's fantastic, and that's what you get in this movie. You've had hints of that in certainly the Christopher Reeve movies, which I love, but yeah, Superman and the Mole Man, with all its cheesiness and its ill-fitting bald caps, that's the one. That's the one that really, truly, most perfectly captures that purity of heart, which is the true essence of Superman. So yeah, that's it for today. I have a Patreon. If you want to support my work, for those who do, well, you're super. And yeah, until next time, keep watching the skies. Live long and prosper. Take care. Bye.